Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. The Lycan's Last Breath. Episode 7. Chapter 85. Vera. When I finally manage to compose myself and get up from the ground, I take my time to shift back to my wolf form. I feel like I'm pushing my body beyond what it can take right now. I have shifted 3 times already and it's only my first day as a wolf. All of my limbs are protesting as I shift again. I make my way to the warriors that came with us initially. Some of them are coming back to after being unconscious, either because of exhaustion or because of injuries. When they open their eyes and they land on me, they immediately get spooked, even attempting to crawl away from me. When they realize I'm not chasing them or showing any signs of hostility, they stop. I would shift back to being human to explain, but honestly, I don't want them to see me. One by one I check on them, moving some of them with my snout until they wake up. Unfortunately, 4 of them are dead. The warriors that have managed to get up are helping those who can't. "We'll come back for their bodies," one of them says, limping away towards the castle. Once they on their way, I turn towards the castle, limping and with my tail hanging low between my legs. Despite the fact that we won, I feel defeated. At what cost did we win this battle? With every step that takes me closer to Noah, I feel my heart beat faster. I have heard wonderful things about the Lycan healers that used to inhabit the castle. Fortunately, many of them came back once they heard Alistair was no longer king. They are no doubt treating Noah now. As a doctor myself, the hardest thing to do is to not intervene when a loved one is being treated, and I know that if I made my way back to the castle with Noah, I would have been difficult to control, especially now. When I enter the castle, the overwhelming smell of blood causes my eyes to sting. Warriors, students, guards, and even cooks are helping pick up bodies, both ours and from Alistair's army. I notice the surviving members of Alistair's army off to a corner, chained like prisoners to the pillars of the castle. Several of them are crying. The tragedy of it all is that none of these soldiers chose to be here, they were being controlled by the witch. I can't imagine the panic they felt once they came to and realized what they were doing, especially seeing all of the death around them. Everyone pauses what they're doing to stare at me as I make my way through the castle, following Noah's scent. He's been taken to the King's Wing for some reason, and I make my way up the stairs until I reach the entry. There are 2 beaten-up guards at the entrance. They immediately open the doors, inferring it's me. When I reach the middle of the hallway, Noah's scent begins to be mixed with someone else's. It's strange, but then I realize it's perhaps because they had to get him a blood transfusion, or several. I notice Lucas's scent and focus on that instead. I find Lucas, Eldon, and Caleb sitting outside of a room, pacing. When I approach, Eldon notices me first, sniffing the air. "Vera." I come close to him and lower my forehead to his. "Oh, Vera," he says, placing his hands on the fur of my face, "we're still waiting for the healers to come out, it might take a while." I nod. "Of course, I understand." When I remove my forehead from Eldon's, I notice Caleb is looking at me, differently. There no longer is the lost, distant look he had before. Eldon notices the direction of my gaze and nods. "I don't know what happened. We were sitting at the library tunnels when he suddenly just became lucid. He hasn't said much, but maybe he was also under some sort of spell?" Like the rest of the army? It's just a theory. Eldon shakes his hand dismissively, as if the theory is too far-fetched, even for him. I nod but don't take my eyes away from Caleb's. After a few moments, he speaks. Is my son alive? He asks blatantly. There is something defiant about his stare. I shake my head and he breaks away from my gaze, turning towards the fireplace in the center of the wall. I feel his mood change. I feel his grief. In my wolf form, I am much more aware of everything, even people's emotions. It's exhausting. I look around for some form of clothing or anything to cover me before I turn. Here, Lucas notices my intentions and takes off his shirt. I gladly accept it and scoot off to a corner to change. His shirt is clean. I assume he picked it up after carrying Noah. It's huge on me so it covers just above my knees. When I reappear, Lucas's eyes go wide. Vera, you should get your wounds checked. He comes towards me, fixated on the massive wound on my leg. I hadn't noticed how bad it actually was, just like I hadn't noticed the trail of blood I was leaving behind me in my wolf form. My inherited healing abilities have indeed kicked in, but it just goes to show how deep the wound is. Wait here, Lucas says after I shake my head. He disappears through a hallway. There is nothing that will move me from this place until I know Noah is going to be okay. He comes back with fresh rags and fresh water. At least let me clean that for you. I nod and he brings me a chair to sit on, beginning to work on cleaning up the grime and dirt from the wound. It stings, but I don't flinch. I don't have the energy to even do that. After he's done, he leaves again, returning several minutes later with a shirt on and a hoodie for me, which he literally has to force me into. I hadn't even realized how cold I was. I feel an undeniable numbness in my heart. The minutes pass and I can feel them as if they were ticking inside my stomach. Waiting for the healers to come out making me inch closer and closer to a full-blown panic attack. I close my eyes and focus on my breathing, bringing my hands together and squeezing them as much as I can, just to concentrate on anything else but my anguish. Hours pass, and finally, a healer comes out. He's old, even older than Dr. Owens, but to me that just means more experience. He steps out, cleaning his hands which are full of blood with a rag. He's stable. He lost a lot of blood, I'm afraid, and the wound is quite severe. We have done everything we can, now it's up to him. I step forward. Can we see him? I ask. Are you his mate? He asks, slightly contemptuous I might add. She is, Caleb says, crossing his arms in the distance and eyeing the healer with equal hostility. Fine. But only you, it will be good for the king to heal with his mate by his side. He throws the rag on the floor and walks away. When I step into the room, I notice there are two other people here, cleaning up everything. One of them is a woman. Noah is heavily bandaged and the smell of herbs is intense. I make a mental note to ask about his medication, and in case that there isn't any, I have to get him some painkillers for when he wakes up, antibiotics for possible infections. I won't allow him to be treated like we're in the Middle Ages. Excuse our healer, the woman says when she notices me. He's very old so he still believes in the older ways, and you're yes. A wolf. The other person turns to look at me, as if this is a surprise, but then I notice he's human and he'd have no way to smell the wolf in me. We're done here, she tells me. Please don't hesitate to call if you need anything or if his condition changes. Actually, we need to move him. They both stare at me. Lucas. I call. When he comes in, the smell instantly hits him and he grimaces, his nose flaring. We have to move him, I say. This place stinks of Alistair. Definitely. Where do you want him? He asks. Our room, I say. Lucas leaves. Are you sure he should be moved right now? The female healer comes to me. I think Noah can smell this disgusting scent even unconscious. It's best we move him before he wakes up. If he wakes up, the male healer says under his breath. I turn to him, waiting for an explanation, and he gulps as his eyes meet mine. He knows he said something he shouldn't have, a foot in the mouth moment. Master Healer Josiah said he smelled magic on him. If he was hexed, his physical wound is the least of his worries, he explains. But he is a great warrior, and a royal. Surely you have nothing to worry about, the female healer says. When the witch put that spell on him, he didn't die. What is it she had said? Mortem? Could it be possible that the spell is still working on him, even if the witch is dead? A few minutes later, Lucas comes in with a few guards and a stretch bed, moving Noah with extreme caution and carrying him to our room. Fortunately, the way to our room does not require us go to the more populated parts of the castle. I would hate for everyone to see him like this. They place Noah on our bed and leave. If you need anything else, you know where to find me, Lucas says, giving my hand a gentle squeeze before leaving. I smile and thank him before shutting the door behind him. I go to our bathroom to retrieve a couple of clean rags and some soapy water. The healers tended to his wounds and his wounds only, the rest of him is still a dirty. I start by gently cleaning his face, his neck, his hands, and his legs. I'm relieved to see that the minor cuts and wounds have almost completely healed, meaning the spell hasn't hindered his ability to physically heal. Still, I have to fight the urge to cry as I clean him up. When I touch him, I actually feel my ears slightly ringing, meaning the spell is alive and well within him, even if he appears to be sleeping passively. I can actually, somehow, feel the spell coursing through his veins like poison. Once I'm done, I head into the bathroom and clean myself up. It's a hasty shower since I'm anxious to return to Noah. I know what I have to do, I just don't know if it will work. Toweling myself dry, I put on one of his large t-shirts and make my way to his side. I crawl up on the bed and straddle him as carefully as I can, mindful of his injuries. Moving his neck slightly to its side, I bare his neck and elongate my teeth. Maybe my mark will do for him, what his has done for me. Noah, Noah. Vera laughs, it's the sweetest sound in the world. We have to get out of this room. Tomorrow, I promise, I say. You said that 4 days ago. She protests. This time it's for real, I lie, again. You said that 2 days ago. She's trying to push me off of her rather feebly. I know what spots to kiss and lick to get my way by now. From what Vera told me, I had been unconscious for 2 entire weeks, making everyone wonder if I was going to wake up at all. It turns out, even after my physical wounds were already healed, I needed a little more time for my body to fight off the witch's spell. Vera's idea to mark me was brilliant. Considering my healing abilities were transmitted to her from my mark, it made perfect sense that hers would also be shared with me, only her healing abilities are more so catered to magic. Not that I didn't give her shit when I found out she marked me while I was unconscious. I had plans of how I wanted to be marked and they didn't involve being asleep. When I finally opened my eyes and Vera explained everything, I made her lock the room and not tell anyone I had woken up. Well, it's been an entire week since I woke up and we have not left this room once. It's fine though. Not a day had gone by before people started noticing all the noise coming from this room. If that didn't hint at my full recovery, I don't know what would. You know, I wouldn't mind spending another week cooped up in here with you, I tell her as I lift up her shirt. Really, that's been the only barrier between us as I have not once put on clothes and she wears nothing underneath my t-shirt. I never got to tell her how much I loved that she wore my t-shirt and nothing else to sleep. It's about time I showed her. Are you kidding me? I smile, intending on teasing her until she goes crazy. After only a few minutes, she gets up quickly, lifting my face with both of her hands. We're both sitting now, only she's straddling me and grinding up against me. I like you impatient, I smile into her kiss. She keeps kissing me, it's a desperate kiss, but today I plan on taking my time with her. I don't know how much longer the council will let me evade my responsibilities as king, so I plan to make the most of it. I hug her with one arm while my free hand goes to her hair, slowing her down. You just like to torture me, don't you? She breathes into my mouth. Maybe, I smile. I've been doing that a lot lately. She moans loudly this time. I was wrong, this is the sweetest sound in the world. I didn't realize it was possible, but ever since she marked me, our connection got much stronger. Now, we are truly one and I feel her as if she lived inside my chest. I am in tune to her moods, her feelings, her needs, and her fears. I'm just enjoying the view when a knock interrupts us. Vera's eyes fly open and she stares at me wide-eyed. She's also stopped moving. I growl. What? I yell at the door, already annoyed that they'd make Vera stop. Your Highness! Comes a small, trepidatious voice from the other side of the door. We've had to call for an emergency council meeting. The rogue attacks have intensified and we'd like to request your presence. Vera chuckles. Well, Your Highness. She sits up, letting me slip out of her and I gape at her. It seems like duty calls. She gets up from the bed, heading to the shower. Or so she thinks. I bolt from the bed, feeling my Lycan begin to stir. Your Highness. The voice asks again. Leave, my Lycan says. I hear the person shuffling away in a hurry after that. I can smell his fear. And you would accuse me of torture. She chuckles, but I'm too impatient now. I lift her up, placing her back against the wall while my arms snake the backs of her knees, putting her in the position I want. She's helpless like this and she hangs onto my shoulders for support. Without putting her down, I carry her to the shower, her eyes now sleepy and her body completely relaxed. She leans her back to my chest as I turn on the shower. You know, I think this technically counts as a wolf moon, she says. A what? A wolf moon. When two wolves become mates and mark each other, they're not expected at class or their jobs for weeks. Now I know why. I begin to lather her hair with shampoo and we both take a few moments to clean ourselves before we head out, reluctantly I might add, to the real world. When we're done, we get dressed and head to the council meeting room, ready to face whatever comes next. Vera, are you sure you want to do this, Liam? I ask as we head towards one of the alternate entrances to the castle. It's midnight and only the night guards are up. I don't really have a choice, he says, resolute. Noah had given Liam the chance to run away with Harriet and they were about to do just that, or so he thought. Harriet stabbed Liam in his back numerous times, leaving him for dead and slashing her mark off of his neck before taking off on her own. Now, instead of being branded by his mate's love, he is branded forever by his mate's rejection. It makes me angry that I didn't kill her when I had the chance. Now, she's run off to goddess knows where and Liam has volunteered to go after her and kill her himself. This is his one chance to redeem himself in the eyes of his peers. If he fails, he might as well not come back. He slings his bag over his shoulder and turns to Noah, who has his arms crossed. Liam simply nods at him and starts to turn his back to us, but before he can, Noah stops him. He gets closer to him and gives him a hug and a few pats on his back. You always have a home here, Liam, remember that? Liam nods but he doesn't hug Noah back. His eyes land on mine and I smile slightly, he does too, but those are undeniably the eyes of a broken man. When Noah breaks off the hug, he comes to stand at my side and I wave as Liam composes himself and heads into the woods. His real mission, assigned by the council, is to infiltrate the rogues that are progressively taking over more and more Lycan territory, but his mission to find Harriet has been sanctioned by Noah. He will take care of both missions at the same time. Noah and I stay looking at Liam's figure as he disappears into the woods, his shoulders somewhat slumped. I'm surprised you offered him to come back, I say. That man has been through enough. I can't even imagine what a mess I'd be if you ever left. Harriet didn't just leave, I point out. Which makes it worse. What happens when a mark is removed? I ask. Absolutely nothing, the connection is still there. Removing a mark is only done to humiliate someone, to show the rest of the world that you're not even wanted by your mate. I swear I should have killed her, I mutter. No, he turns to me, I should have. I made the mistake of trusting Liam's common sense. He takes my hand and leads me into the council meeting room again. It's empty at this time of night, and I'm surprised he wants to come back here after we spent almost all day sitting here. There is a massive map in the middle of the table with all kinds of figurines, depicting where our warriors are and how the rogues are expanding into the territory. After a few minutes of admiring the map, Noah speaks. I don't want anyone knowing you're half-witch, he says. Noah, I think it's pretty evident, I frown at him. I've had the guys ask around, most of them think your abilities come from being a wolf. Most of them had never met a wolf in their lives, much less a witch, he says, looking at the map. And why don't you want them to know, exactly? Lycans are simple creatures, they know a witch was behind Alistair's attack and they'll put you into the same bag as her if they knew you were also a witch, and you're already a wolf and you know how hard that's been for you. I stay quiet for a moment. There are a lot of changes happening very quickly, and even if Noah is the legitimate king, he still has a lot to prove to the council and more importantly, to his people. If they found out his mate is a witch, on top of being a wolf. I'm sorry Vera. It won't be forever, he says, turning to me and putting his hands on my arms. I promise as soon as I know it's safe for you, you won't have to hide, but for now, no, I interrupt him, it makes perfect sense. Besides, we don't want that witch mother finding out who I am just yet. He raises his eyebrow at me this time. It's a long story. I explain. Someone clears their throat behind us. Both Noah and I turn to the door and it's none other than Beta Caleb. May I have a word? He says. I turn to leave to give them some privacy, but he stops me. No, please, with both of you, if that's okay. Noah nods and we sit at the table. Caleb closes the door behind him before sitting across from us. I've been meaning to talk to you both, I feel like I owe you two an explanation, to the entire council really. I just haven't. I'm still, his hand brushes over his head in exasperation, I'm sorry I don't even know where to start. Take your time, I smile at him. He smiles back but there is so much sadness in his gaze. So, Eldon tells me you already know who your father is, he looks at Noah. And my mother, Noah interrupts him. Yes, you already know you're half-wolf. Luckily from what I can tell, you seem to be mostly Lycan, he says and Noah nods in confirmation. Well, nobody knew who your mother was, in fact nobody knew King Alexander even had a mate, much less that she was a wolf. He didn't mind people knowing, but she was already mated to someone else and for the sake of avoiding conflict with the wolves, we kept it quiet. Only he, Ellie and I knew. Noah perks up. Yes, her name was Ellie Goldmoon, from the Goldmoon clan. I interject, my mouth hanging open. You know them. I know of them. Much like the Allens, Sophia's bloodline, the Goldmoons are what in wolf society would be considered royalty. They have the second biggest pack in all the territory, after ours. Correct. Which is why her relationship to your father had to be kept a secret. That end, he pauses, looking at us apprehensively. That and what? Noah asks. Everything changed with Alistair of course, because he wasn't a royal he didn't follow royal protocol, but Noah, the king is not supposed to mate with his mate, he says. I frown. What kind of bullshit is that? Noah asks, irritated. The kind of bullshit that keeps alliances stable and territories safe, he says seriously, even if you already have a mate, he eyes my mark on Noah's neck, you are meant to marry someone who can provide alliances beneficial to the kingdom. Your mate is never supposed to bear your children, only your spouse is. I'm gaping at him. Noah sits up and begins to pace, probably trying to calm himself down. I know. It is bullshit, but I didn't make the rules, he puts his hands up. Is that what you came to say? To suggest I take a spouse? Noah's Lycan has begun to swirl in his pupils and I go to him, taking his hands in mine. Hey, look at me. Nobody is going to separate us, Noah. Breathe, calm down. No, I actually came here to apologize. What happened with Alistair, Everything with your parents, it was all my fault, his voice cracks. We both turn to look at him as his hand flies to his face, covering his eyes. After he composes himself, he turns to us again. Alistair started seeing a witch many years ago. I should have stopped it. I should have known that nothing good could come out of it, and I did nothing. She tricked him into believing she was his mate with some spell. He adjusts his throat, it's the same witch that hexed me and the same one that was controlling his army. I never knew what her interest in Alistair was, it was just clear to me that she wanted your father dead for some reason. Noah, he looks at him seriously, you survived by chance, because nobody knew of your existence. Noah sits back and crosses his arms as he thinks, then he looks at me, but before he speaks, I know what he wants, I'll ask them. I say gently. Thank you. He grabs my hand and kisses it. Caleb regarding the gesture with a look. In truth, I came here to apologize for not killing my son when I had the chance. All of this, your father's death, Alistair's atrocious rule, it's all because of me. He's looking at the floor now. There's a lot of regret going around lately, I say absent-mindedly, thinking of Harriet. The only thing I have to offer, Noah, Your Highness, is my service at your side. I may not be beta material anymore, but I have learned from all of my mistakes, even the ones I made with your father. When the entire world is against you, Noah, I will be on your side, always, if you will have me. The sincerity is obvious in his eyes. After a few moments, Noah gets up and goes to Caleb's side, who hastily gets up and tries to bow, but Noah stops him, taking his hand and shaking it. You have a deal, Noah says, and Caleb smiles, his eyes glassy. When the moment is over, he turns to me, and I owe you an apology, Vera. When I saw your eyes I know one which does not represent all, but my pledge to be on Noah's side of course applies to you as well. My eyes. I frown. Your wolf's eyes, he says as if this is supposed to ring a bell. When he notices my frown he continues, Vera, your wolf's eyes are white, like a witch's. Hey? Vera, what do you mean her eyes are white? Didn't you see her wolf? Her fur is also pearl white, and iridescent. I had never seen anything like it either. Caleb says. I'm surprised by what he's saying. Having white fur for wolves is rare enough, but what he's describing is impossible. Noah moves an eyebrow at Caleb. Are you sure you weren't hallucinating? You had just come out of the spell and maybe you were seeing things, Noah says. I'm not making anything up, you can ask that other kid that was with us. Noah turns to me, Lucas, I clarify. Noah frowns. That means you will also not be able to turn into your wolf in public, Vera, he points out. Noah, I already walked through the entire castle in my wolf form. You did what? What? You preferred they see me. I wouldn't worry too much about it, Caleb interjects. Not many people have been exposed to wolves as much as I have, many probably just think that's normal. I would still like for no one to know she's half witch, I don't think it's safe. Or convenient. Caleb adds, I agree. I roll my eyes. Nothing like men making decisions for me. Caleb clears his throat. I think it's better we all get some rest. The real work begins now. We can meet tomorrow to plan the future steps to regain control of the territory the rogues have taken over and, the other thing. Noah stands up as Caleb does, both shaking hands. Let me make one thing clear, Noah says, holding his hand firmly, I would rather give up the throne and all of this shit than take in a spouse. Vera is my mate, whether they like it or not. The only reason why I'm having her hide her identity is because of fear for her safety, not because it's convenient to me. Noah's stance is relaxed, but there is a clear threat in his tone and my heart starts beating a little bit faster. Caleb sighs, briefly glancing at me. Quite frankly, I expect nothing less from Alexander's son. With that, they both release each other's hands and Caleb starts turning away, not before nodding my way and giving me a long look. I don't smile at him as I usually would, I feel like there's something he's not telling us and it's irking me. We really should get some rest, Noah comes to me, extending his hand for me to take. I nod and get up, Noah noticing my frown. Vera, don't worry about it. Nobody is going to come between us, I won't let it happen. I mean it when I say I will never take in a spouse that isn't you. I turn to him, my frown deepening. Oh. Noah, just to be clear. I will kill any peesh that even attempts to flirt with you, he laughs, it's not that, it's, do you feel like he's hiding something? Who? Caleb. I nod. Not really, I thought he was sincere. So do I, but there's something else, too. Let's not think about that right now, let's go get some sleep. We have meetings tomorrow, they start early. I take his hand and smile at him, reassuringly. It does little to ease my nerves though. When we get to our room, we each change and lay in bed. Noah is soon rolling to his side and putting his big arm around me, already half asleep. I cuddle into him, my back to his chest. I relax and focus on his even, passive breathing until it lulls me to sleep. I know why Mehra wanted Noah's family dead. I open my eyes. I'm in my aunt and grandma's realm. I grunt. Hi, Margaret, I say, not amused. I really wanted a peaceful sleep tonight. Vera, I'm sorry to bring you in, but we need to talk. I rub my eyes and look at her, giving her my full attention. You already heard from Beta Caleb that Mehra used Alastair to dethrone King Alexander, she says. I raise an eyebrow, who's Mehra? The witch you killed, the one controlling Alastair's army and the one who tricked him into believing she was his mate. You said she wanted Noah's family dead? Yes. Ever since the battle, when Noah broke free from her spell, I've been wondering if he could have a natural defense against magic since he still didn't have your mark and protection. It turns out, Noah comes from a long line of warriors that fought against witches for generations, they were essentially witch hunters. They were a catalyst for the end of the age of witches and had, presumably, developed some form of resistance against magic. Now my interest has peaked. So they wanted revenge on his family? It's worse than that. There is a prophecy, Vera, that says that the last battle against witchkind will be led by the first son of the first son. Noah's ancestors were known to recruit the first sons of every willing family to fight against witches. The witch mother probably assumed that the prophecy referred to someone from Noah's family line. That's why they needed King Alexander killed, only they didn't know he'd had a son. My chest constricts at this. So now that he's taking over the throne, and it's known that he's King Alexander's son, they will likely come for him again. I gulp, dread settling in my stomach. That's not all, she says, chatter has begun. Vera. The witches felt your magic when you turned into your wolf form. It seems that spirit wolves in their beast form are not only conductors for magic like us, they are magic itself. If you ever fell in the wrong hands. She shudders before she can finish her sentence. Then, she comes close to me and puts her hands on either side of my face, making me look into her eyes. Vera, we will do everything we can to protect you and Noah. In the meantime, we suggest you keep a low profile. The witch Snow Mehra is dead, and they know there was a pure magical essence around her, but they don't know much else. I need you to go to the forest and burn whatever remains are left of her, to block out any chance of them knowing exactly where she is and finding out about you. We will also need to continue your training in here. I nod, feeling overwhelmed at everything that she's telling me. We just got rid of Alistair, we just got rid of that witch, and we have so much on our plates already, to think of another battle. Margaret hugs me. It will be fine, Vera. I promise. I hug her back, closing my eyes and taking in whatever comfort she can offer me, but there is nothing she can do or say to reassure me. When I open my eyes again, I am in Noah's embrace once again. I carefully slip out of bed without waking him and put on some clothes and a hoodie, getting ready to go outside. I make my way past the corridors of the castle, getting to the kitchen to retrieve some matches, paper, and oil. It's around 4 or 5 in the morning and the only people up right now are the guards. When I'm at the exit, I greet the guards with a nod and they do the same, not questioning where I was going. I get to the place where we had fought Alistair and the witch, noticing that our warriors' bodies had indeed been removed. I keep walking until I find the place where I killed the witch, Mehra. Her body is still here, decomposing at an accelerated rate. It doesn't even look like a young woman's body, it looks like an elderly one. I dip the paper in the oil and attempt to light it up with the matches. You don't need that. I hear a voice inside my head. Grandma? I think. Yes. I can use your wolf as a direct channel to you even when you're awake. Put your hands in the soil, child, and think of the fire you want to create. What it will smell like, feel like, and how it will serve you. I do as I'm told and crouch down a few feet away from the witch's body. I close my eyes and take several deep breaths, calming my mind. Then, in one strong exhale, the fire starts around the witch's body, slowly making its way to my target. Very good. I hear in my head. I smile and get up, hugging myself and enjoying the warmth of the fire in this chilly night. The sun has begun to peek through the horizon and the forest is starting to become alive with the diurnal animals beginning to wake up. An ominous chill suddenly runs down my spine as the fire reaches the witch's body and ignites it in a ball of fire. Soon her bones are cracking under the pressure of the flame. The wind starts blowing from the west and I turn my face towards it. A sense of foreboding settles in the pit of my stomach, almost making me nauseous. I hug myself tighter. There is a war looming in the horizon. Part 2. Vera, do we really have to do this? I moan. Vera, we discussed this before, you can't turn into your wolf. But it will be much faster if I do. I'm pouting. Noah is right, Doc. We can't risk anyone seeing you. These people probably have scouts beyond their territory to look out for rogues, Eli says right before turning to his Lycan form and putting our bags over his shoulders. You're unbearable ever since you became beta, Eli. You don't have to kiss Noah's ass every time. I cross my arms and turn my head up to give him the stink eye. Eli's Lycan scoffs, I assume in amusement. So far, my wolf has been relegated to appear only at night and very far from the castle. Did I mention I have to turn with a chaperone? I wish I was kidding. Noah has tasked either Eli or Lucas to watch over me when I turn on the nights that he can't be with me. It's driving me mad. Noah quickly disposes of his clothes and turns to his Lycan in front of me, kneeling with his back to me so I can climb up. I take a deep breath, trying to control my temper, and get on his back. Soon after, we are running past the forest, in the direction of our destination. 5 months have passed since we defeated Alistair. 5 months of constant work trying to rebuild the kingdom to its former glory. We've had scholars, students, warriors, healers, and diplomats return to the castle to try and get back to what it was before Alistair came along. Of course, Eldon has seen to the return of the scholars and students. The library has been thoroughly cleaned and now houses a tiny army of people who are sorting, cleaning, and restoring books as we speak. Alongside them, students have come back as well to help their teachers in hopes of becoming scholars themselves. I personally have overseen the return of the healers and have started a training course for women who want to become nurses. It's been incredibly challenging, not only because I'm an outsider and a woman, but because healers think they are deities. At first, I thought they had a reason to be so arrogant, but their medicine wasn't even taught in my medical program, it is that outdated. They're brutes who don't even use anesthesia most of the time. Amputation? You better bite down on that cloth they give you, it is the only relief they'll provide. Why? Because Lycans can take it. That's it. That's all the reasoning behind it. I still have to suppress the urge to roll my eyes every time they explain procedures like that to me, simply because it's stupid. I have had several nightmares since learning this where Noah dies at their hands. Had I known all of this before, I would have cut my own leg before letting them operate on him the day we defeated Alistair. I struggled with them for a few months, trying to make them understand that their practices were borderline barbaric, but they would just shut me down. Until one day, I had enough of their bullshit and planted myself at the entrance of the medical halls, not letting anyone in. I essentially sent them all home. Just like that. They had audiences with their king, whom I fortunately happened to be sleeping with, and it became clear since then that they had no protection from him whatsoever. I don't think you understand that if you don't do as she says, she will just train an entire generation of doctors without you. You are not necessary, she's invited you all here out of courtesy, Noah had told them. Not to mention she's a healer in her own right, and a warrior, guess who Lycans are going to favor? Eli had said. Ever since then, everyone got the point, either get in line, or leave. It's quite simple, though it angered me that they couldn't take my word for it and had to hear it from Noah and Eli. Not that it has been a smooth ride, they do as I say but through gritted teeth. If there is one thing that these past months have taught us, is that there is a lot more work to be done to return this kingdom to its former glory. But if there is one thing that they have taught me, is that I don't know if it's worth going back to its former glory. Even if Lycans held great territories and were once incredibly rich, the policy of not changing, not evolving, was not started by Alistair, it was started and perpetuated by Noah's ancestors. After all, why fix something that isn't broken? They stayed almost frozen in a gone-by era, one that I read of in books as a child, and even then, it was mere history to us, not a reality. They haven't expanded nor diversified their economic sectors, having agriculture as their main economic pillar. This was fine before because of the sheer amount of land they held and the gross number of farmers, but rogue invasions and pillage has naturally crippled such a fragile economy. Indeed, Noah has a bigger task at hand than we could ever have imagined. After several hours of running and walking, we stop at a clearing. Each Lycan puts down their bags and shifts right in front of me. I avert my eyes since I don't feel like seeing any of them, ever. Noah leans down, letting me get off his back, and shifts, quickly putting on his clothes. "Hey, how was that?" he asks me, taking my cold hands in his and rubbing them gently. I appreciate the warmth it provides and smile up at him. "It was fine," I lie. My core, arms, and legs are on fire from holding on to him this long. Running in my wolf form would have been much more pleasant. "We should set up camp. It's getting rather late and we still have a day's worth of travel left," Lucas says. "King? Could I have a word?" Council member William comes closer, interrupting us. "Noah, please." William smiles. "Noah, could I have a word?" Noah turns to me. No, it's okay for her to listen, of course," he clarifies. With that, we begin walking away from the group so as to not be heard. "So, I understand Caleb has already prepared you for what you might encounter once we get to our destination." "Our destination?" "Right. Did I mention what this trip even was? We are on a journey to visit all of the royal families that used to support the crown, those rich families that used to give money to the castle in exchange for well-trained soldiers to protect their land, and therefore, the kingdom's land." Alistair cut them off, well aware of how the castle would suffer once they stopped giving him money, but it was a calculated risk. The only real royal family is Noah's family, hence they respect their position. But Alistair? He knew that any given day the families could plot against him and put their own king on the throne. After all, Alexander was believed to be the last true king, and since he had never publicly produced an heir, the power vacuum would have been too great had these families been left unchecked. In turn, Alistair sacrificed the protection they offered to the vast Lycan territory, making them an easy target to rogue invasions. Which is why we're here. We need for them to protect their territories once again, with the support of the crown, of course. "He did," Noah says. "Well, as you both know, this is a distant part of my family, so even if Caleb explained the basics, I have to be honest with you." We both just stare at him, encouraging him to continue as he adjusts his throat. "Well, Cecil, my second cousin, lost her husband to a rogue invasion. It has left their family structure crippled and in need of a male heir. Of course, Cecil is much too old to bear any more children, but she does have a daughter, the only child to come from her marriage. And she's of age," he finishes. Noah raises his eyebrow at him, but I can feel his anger rising as if it were my own. I know you were clear about this, Your Highness, but the only way the council found to have the families host us was to promise the possibility of you taking a wife. Noah's jaw clenches furiously and William instinctively lowers his head. I'm sorry, Your Highness, we tried everything, but they don't care for anything else, not even to regain their lands and riches, they want more. They want their sacrifices recognized, and this is the only way. I turn to look at Eli, Lucas, and Caleb, who are now staring at us, their attention drawn by Noah's murderous aura. As weird as it is, I think Noah before becoming king was not at his full warrior potential. He was never challenged, not really, but now that he has had to take command of an entire kingdom, his presence is very hard to ignore, much like an alpha for wolves. As wolves, we are all aware when an alpha walks into a space. It makes me wonder if this is coming from his mother's side, his wolf side. Caleb comes close to us, cautiously, having overheard at least the last bit of the conversation. Before you say anything, Noah, just know that you don't actually have to marry any of them. They were never promised you would take a wife, only that you would consider it. All we ask is that you, and Vera, he turns to look at me, pretend like you're open to it. Fine. Fine. Sorry, I have to get my temper in check. Noah says, waving his hand dismissively, releasing the collective tension that his aura had created in all of us. Now if you'd excuse me, I'd like some time alone with my mate. He takes my hand and turns his back on Caleb and William, leading us into the forest. You know, you really don't have to scare them to death every time the topic. He kisses me before I can finish the sentence and I melt into his kiss, wrapping my arms around his neck. It's a passionate kiss, one that we haven't shared in a long time. He uses his hands to freely roam over my back. I'm pinned up against a tree as he ravages my mouth, something I welcome and reciprocate. When he breaks the kiss, we are both panting. We can't, not here, I tell him, painfully aware of both of our needs. I know. I miss you. I look into his eyes and coo his face gently with both of my hands. I miss you, too. I kiss him again, this time gently. He moans. Do you know how long it's been since I've made love to you? Don't remind me, I groan. It's been weeks, maybe even a month already, since we've been intimate. It's just been very hard now that we were both working non-stop and he has council meetings until the later hours of the night. The times we actually managed to share a bed, we are both too tired to do anything. I put my forehead on his and close my eyes. We have to do this, Noah. Even if it's just pretending, it's what the kingdom needs. I know. I just don't want, you're not just side piece to me, and they're all making it seem like you should be. It makes me want to kill them all. I chuckle. I'm glad you haven't given in to your desires. He sighs. Okay. We should get back. It's getting darker and we need to set up camp. He lowers me to my feet and takes my hand, leading me back to the camp. Then I realize something. So, your murderous aura, yeah, it's because we haven't had sex. I start laughing uncontrollably, tears rim my eyes and I have to stop walking to wipe at them. The great King Noah, savior of the Lycan race and beast of legends, has been angry because he hasn't been getting laid. He clicks his tongue and throws me over his shoulder. Keep laughing like that and I won't talk if they all hear and see us. This makes me laugh even harder. He really is in a mood. Like this, we make our way back to camp where the others have thankfully already gotten started on tonight's dinner. Vera, please tell me we are close, Eli says. We're close, only about 1 more hour, Caleb responds. Had I known how much walking and running we had to do, I would have bailed, Lucas says. You can't go against your king's orders, young man. William scolds him. Lucas just rolls his eyes. He has grown so much these past months. I don't know if it's the fact that he's getting older, or the experiences he's gathered in this time, but he's definitely maturing and I can't help but smile at that. It's like witnessing your little brother finally become a man. Noah, when we get back you should consider training with us. Without you it's like we're not training at all, he says. Young man. William scolds again. Lucas stops. The young man has a name, he replies. Hi, I'm Lucas, it's nice to meet you, he says extending his hand to William, mockingly. I giggle at this. Council member William is a lot more modern and accepting than the rest of the council, but compared to the youth, he's very outdated. William ignores him and keeps walking, huffing and puffing as he goes past him. What's up his ass? Lucas joins Noah and I as we walk behind all of them. He's old school, and you were never taught manners, Noah says, punching Lucas's arm. He chuckles. I mean it, Noah. You were one of us only a few months ago, we all support you as king, but you can't neglect your troops. I know. Thank you for telling me, I promise I'll go train with you guys once we return. Noah smiles at him and this seems to satisfy Lucas, because he happily jogs back to Eli's side. And yet another thing I have to put on the list, he sighs. I smile sympathetically at him. Noah has a lot in his plate right now. Everything from the council meetings, training, tending to the new diplomats, healers, and scholars, designing economic and defense strategies against rogues. And now, hunting for a wife. Running a kingdom is hard enough, but rescuing a dying one? It's almost impossible. You can't do everything at once, Noah. At least not now. You have to prioritize, which is why we're here. Everything is a priority, that's the problem, he mumbles. State your business in Queen Cecil's land. Queen Cecil? I raise an eyebrow at this and notice that we are quickly being surrounded by men with weapons, if you can even call them that. Noah instinctively places me behind him, hiding me. We are here for an audience with Cecil. I am Council Member William, her cousin. This is Lucas, warrior of the castle, Caleb, the former beta to the great King Alexander, Eli, beta to the current king, and Noah, His Royal Highness. They seem to relax a little at William's introduction. The fact that he didn't introduce me doesn't go unnoticed. My apologies, I didn't realize your party would be this small. It's quite dangerous out here, I was expecting His Royal Highness to travel with a small army. We are a small army, Eli snaps back, not too pleased with their presence. Again, my apologies, please. Let us help you with the bags the rest of the way. When they come close to Noah and I, one of them catches my scent. A wolf. They have a wolf with them. Suddenly, they all stop what they are doing and pick their weapons back up, this time surrounding Noah and I. I suggest you lower your weapons, or else our visit here will be rather short, Noah growls. Noah's large frame still covers me, but some of the soldiers have come close enough so that they can see me. Ah, yes, yes. This is the king's mate. William quickly introduces me, rather dismissively in my opinion. A wolf. The king's mate. The king has a mate. Does Queen Cecil know His Highness has a mate? I can't imagine Violet knew. Why is she even here? Their comments are mumbled amongst themselves, but not low enough. She is my mate, under my direct protection. If that is a problem, please excuse us with Queen Cecil, but we will have to turn around and go back home, Noah says, his aura once again making itself known. The soldiers are visibly shaken by his presence, some even shudder. No, no. My apologies once again, we were just not expecting her. Please follow me, the first soldier to speak speaks again. This time, all of the soldiers lower their weapons and begin walking. Noah keeps me tucked behind him to hide me from their curious stares. At one point, some of them were getting too close and comfortable to his liking and he had to quietly growl at them so that they'd back up and give us some space. Excuse my intrusion, Council Member William, the first soldier says, not intending for anyone else to hear but we all do. You know what your cousin's plans were, why bring the king's maid along? It might be a problem it won't be, I'll make sure of it, he says. Satisfied, the soldier goes back to lead the group into their territory. William glances our way, winking at me and Noah. I have to say, he's putting up a very convincing front, maybe a little too convincing. When we reach the perimeters of the territory, the soldiers begin opening and searching our bags. Excuse me. What do you think you're doing? William protests. This are express orders from Queen Cecil, Your Grace, everyone entering these lands must be searched. William glances at Eli and Caleb, both crossing their arms and frowning. Eli simply shrugs his shoulders, letting William know not to protest any further. Okay, everything seems to be in order. Please, come. I'm sorry, soldier, I didn't catch your name, Eli says. Oh, sorry my lord, my name is Jeremy, at your service, he bows respectfully as he says this. Jeremy seems quite polite, the one I'm not liking very much is this Queen Cecil. And tell me exactly why you keep calling my cousin, Queen Cecil? William asks. Her Grace appointed herself the queen of her land ever since King Alistair took over the throne, it's all I've known her as my entire life, he says, obviously understanding the implications of calling her queen in front of the actual king. His head stays low while the rest of us process what he said. After a moment of silence, Caleb clears his throat. Well, Jeremy, I think it's about time we meet this queen of yours. Caleb comes close to Jeremy and pats his back, making him lightly flinch. Yes, of course, please follow me. Once we are let in, the house looks like a mini castle. All of the outer walls are made of thick stone, like a small fortress. There is a vast garden as we walk in, one that has been undoubtedly neglected. There are wild flowers overtaking the entire space and crawling up the stone walls. The entrance is big, but nowhere near as big as the castles. The site would be quite beautiful had it been properly taken care of. The front of the home also has high windows and several floors. It's quite pretty in a quaint way. Why is the family not living at the main house? William asks Jeremy. This home is farther from rogue territory and easier to defend, if it came to it. It also has passageways that lead to the forest as a means to escape. It's safer. I see. Just before we make our way up the small set of stairs that lead to the entrance, the wooden doors fly open, revealing a beautiful blonde woman in an elaborate, long sundress. Cousin. Oh, cousin. It's been so long. Cecil, William says, opening his arms for the fakest embrace I have ever witnessed. They both kiss each other's cheeks and laugh. Cousin, I'd like you to meet Caleb, former beta of the great King Alexander, Eli, the current king's beta, and of course, His Highness and Lord of this kingdom, Noah. Oh, my, she says, as she curtsies to Noah. The gesture is so over the top I have to fight the urge to roll my eyes. Your Highness, thank you for making the treacherous journey to our humble home. My daughter, Violet, has been so excited she's barely gotten any sleep, she says. When she lifts her eyes from the floor, they land directly on me, her smile falling. And who's this? She asks, her tone a little too high. No one answers. Soon her eyes land on my neck and then on Noah's. Her expression sours. Queen Cecil, Noah breaks the silence, I'd like you to meet Vera, my mate. Mate. No one said anything about a ma'a, cousin. Do you still produce your famous apples here? I've been talking non-stop about the apple pies of this region. His Highness has been looking forward to them. William quickly diverts the attention from me, grabbing Cecil by her shoulders and turning her towards the home. Before disappearing within the home, she takes one last look at me, eyes narrowed, throwing daggers my way. Vera, okay, level with me. Why am I here? I stand, drawing Caleb's, Eli's, Lucas's, and William's attention. Noah has been kidnapped by this Queen Cecil to give him a private tour of the property, as if there's much to see. Of course, none of us were invited. That's not even what annoys me. What I am angry about is feeling like I'm the unwanted third wheel. They didn't even know about me? William didn't even attempt to introduce me? What is going on here? You might as well tell her, William, I told you this was a bad idea, Caleb says, sipping out of his tea mug. I turn to William who is nervously fidgeting with his fingers. And I slam the table, making him flinch. I mean I did say that the families wanted their daughters considered to be Noah's wives, and. William is quiet again, he has not once looked me in the eyes since we got here. Oh, just spit it out, Eli says exasperated. He also didn't know anything about this. It is one thing to tell them their daughters would be considered, but to not even tell them Noah has a mate? What were you thinking? Fine. Caleb says, putting his mug down, according to Lycan tradition, none of us here have a right to deny any of these women the right to marry the king, not even the king himself. All of these women are Lycan, they have money and influence and are allegedly beautiful, there is no acceptable reason why the king wouldn't marry any of them. Which is where you come in. The only way they'll keep their hands off of him is if you challenge them to a duel. The victor has a right to be with the king, and the other one has to give up any notions of ever becoming queen. I gape at him. Eli almost chokes on his tea, he's bent over laughing. You can't be serious, Lucas says, not taking his eyes off of Caleb. I can't, Eli wheezes, I can't believe this. He's wiping tears off of his face. So, we literally have to fight for a man? How archaic are you people? Sorry, we didn't make the rules, Caleb says, not the least bit apologetic, returning to drinking his tea. I cross my arms and narrow my eyes at William. We knew that if we told you and Noah, he wouldn't want to come, but this is the only way for the families to meet with him, and the only possible excuse for him not to take any wife is you, William says, truly apologetic. Oh, come on Doc, it's not like you can't take them. It'll be great practice, Eli is coughing after laughing so much. Oh, I'm aware, but how do you think they'll like being beaten by a wolf? Hey? Did any of you even think about that? Not to mention I won't even have to turn to make them eat dirt. All of them stare at each other, Lucas shrugging his shoulders. All I know is I run faster than all of you, I'll be able to outrun this crazy before they come for our heads, he says. We didn't think about that, William admits, clearing his throat. New plan, Caleb says, realization dawning on him, let's keep these women as far away from Noah as possible. Deal. Deal, they all say in unison. Speaking of, I better get out there before my cousin marries him to Violet without us knowing. William says, excusing himself before leaving. Unbelievable, I mumble to myself. I can't take this anymore. We all turn to the entrance of the tiny dining hall they placed us in, one that I'm sure is intended for the help. Noah? What are you doing here? Caleb asks. I had to escape. She's crazy. In just an hour, she not only offered her daughter to me, she offered herself. Eli bursts out laughing again, harder this time, spitting out his tea. I can't, he says under his breath, this trip is the best one of my life. He starts coughing uncontrollably again as Noah takes a seat next to me. So have you met this Violet everyone keeps mentioning? I ask him. No, but it's as if I have, she has portraits of her hanging everywhere. He takes my tea mug and starts sipping from it. Did you know Vera has to fight these women for your hand in marriage? Lucas says. She what? Noah places down the mug forcefully, turning to Caleb who puts his hands up defensively. To be fair, I told them it was a bad idea to lie to you too. No, absolutely not. We are out of here, come on. He takes my hand and begins to stand, but I don't budge. We are. I yell. We came here for a reason, Noah, and if you have to parade your pretty little ass in front of these women as bait, you will. Then, you leave them to me. I snatch my hand away from his and cross my arms. I'm in a terrible mood, maybe the lack of X is getting to me too. But it is a reality, the kingdom is in dire need of these families' assistance. Otherwise everything we have worked for so far goes to hell. Unbelievable, Noah sits beside me, crossing his arms as well. There's one more thing, Caleb says. Noah and I turn to him at the same time, he looks almost apologetic. You two will have to sleep in separate rooms. What? We both yell at the same time. Again, don't kill the messenger, but these are old customs that these people are not ready to be rid of. The king only shares a bed with his actual wife during official visits. Fine. I say, completely done with Lycan tradition and stupidity. Fine. Noah says too, but it's directed at me. He gets up hastily and exits the room. Great. Now we are fighting too, I say, cradling my throbbing head on my hand and closing my eyes. Excuse me. Jeremy walks in. Queen Cecil has asked me to see you all to your rooms. Yes, thank you, Jeremy. Caleb says, standing up. Please follow me, Jeremy says. After walking outside of the home, Jeremy leads us to a somewhat abandoned cabin, one that once again, was definitely designated for the help. Not that I mind, of course, but I'm sure this queen is trying her hardest to keep us away from Noah, to keep me away from Noah. When I take a step inside the small cabin, Jeremy stops me. I'm sorry, Mrs. The Queen has asked me to see you to the barn. I'm honestly too shocked to even say the word, but am I really surprised? I'll take her spot in the barn, it's no place for a woman to sleep. Lucas steps up, putting his hand on my shoulder. I smile up to him gratefully. I understand. Jeremy says. I almost feel bad for Jeremy. All this time he's looked almost embarrassed to carry out his queen's orders. I'm sure it's not beyond him how ridiculous his queen is being, but he can't do anything to stop her. Caleb comes to stand next to me as I watch Jeremy and Lucas head to the barn. When I fight this Violet for Noah, can I kill the queen too? I ask him, not taking my eyes away from Lucas. Caleb chuckles. I'm not gonna lie, I'd pay to see you do that. Come on, let's get set up. They invited us over for dinner at the main house. He puts his hand on my shoulder and guides me inside the cabin. I take one last look at Lucas and Jeremy at the same time that Jeremy happens to look my way. I narrow my eyes at him and even in the distance, I see him shudder. Vera, after we finished setting up in the cabin, we all get ready for dinner. Thankfully, I had been warned about the dress code beforehand, so it gave me a chance to pack up some dresses. The dress I'm wearing is a black, fitted dress which represents my mood perfectly. It has an off-shoulder sleeve and a slit on one of my legs. The jewelry is minimal. I brought along some emerald earrings that match the necklace Dr. Owens gave me, which I never take off. When I walk out of my room, all the men are already waiting for me dressed up in their formal wear. When I approach them, they all turn to look at me up and down. No one says a word. I raise an eyebrow at them. Will this be a problem? Eli asks Caleb and William, who are almost gaping at me at this point. No, probably not, at least I don't, William begins. It most definitely will be a problem, Caleb interrupts him, sounding amused. Perfect, let's go, Eli says, offering me his arm for support. I gratefully snake my arm on his and we walk to the main house. When we reach the doors that lead to the dining room, the hairs all over my body rise in awareness. Without looking, I know Noah is in there. As the doors open, I catch a whiff of his scent and to my surprise, When the room is revealed, he is already looking directly my way. All of my body is on fire just by his stare. I can't take my eyes off of him, and he's having a hard time taking his eyes off of me. I know they say distance makes the heart grow fonder, but this is on another level. Only one day apart and we're both planning on jumping on this table right here, right now. Soon, I'm sitting on a chair at the far end of the table, away from him. I didn't even realize we were still moving when I saw him. For me, it's as if time had stopped. Someone clears their throat loudly, drawing my attention. It's Cecil. I look down at my hands, embarrassed. I'm sure everyone knows what Noah and I are thinking right now. As I was saying, I didn't realize she was speaking. It is the honor of this manor to host His Royal Highness and his party. She pauses, looking at me. Well, most of it anyway, she says quietly, so cheers. May this be the beginning of a lovely and long relationship between our families. She raises her glass and everyone raises theirs to cheers. I can't stomach it. In fact, I'm going to have a hard time eating any of the food with the thoughts I have on my mind. I'm sure Noah is feeling the same way. Ever since I walked in here, the air has become electrified. Suddenly, after the first course is done, the doors open dramatically, interrupting my thoughts and drawing everyone's attention. Behind them, a beautiful young woman enters, escorted by none other than Jeremy. She has beautiful long, blonde hair and stunning blue eyes. Her rosy cheeks and colored lips are very clearly the result of makeup, but it was tastefully done. Her jewelry is dainty, modest even, and her dress is like a ball gown. Ah, my dear, dear child. Always late to dinner after tending to the help's meals. Your Highness, Cecil gets up and walks towards her daughter. May I introduce to you my daughter and future queen, Violet. Violet bows gracefully and everyone is holding their breath, waiting for Noah's reaction. I don't turn to look at him like everyone else, I'm looking straight at her, not removing my eyes for a second. My ears are ringing. I narrow my eyes at her, though no one is watching. It's incredibly faint, but there is undoubtedly the presence of magic here, and I'm sure it's coming from her. Could she be a witch too? Could her powers be dormant like mine were? As far as I'm concerned, both of her parents are Lycan. Unless... I turn to look at the decoration within the room which hosts a large portrait of the family. I specifically focus on the portrait of the father and start comparing features. The only possible explanation for this, at the moment, is that her father was not in fact Lycan. Maybe Queen Cecil is not as innocent as she'd like to pretend. When I turn back to Violet and Cecil, they are both staring at me. In fact, everyone is staring at me. It takes me by surprise and I gulp. Could it be that they noticed me comparing the features of Violet and her supposed father? Then, as if being called, I turn to Noah who is looking intently at me. I see. These past months we have noticed that Noah has also become quite attuned to my emotions, even if I offer no external hint of them. He probably felt my uneasiness and turned to me to see if everything was fine. I nod my head with a smile, letting him know everything is fine, and this dinner nonsense can continue. Noah stands up, courteous, and nods his head in Violet's direction. Very nice to meet you, Lady Violet, he says, very uninterested. I notice Violet and Cecil exchange a look, Violet one of panic, and Cecil's one of anger. She quickly glances my way and I can't help but smirk. Now this is something that deserves a toast. I lightly lift my cup towards her and smile at her, perhaps a little too sweetly. She's nearly turning red in anger. I don't really know what her plan was, but I'm sure it involved Noah swooning over her daughter, who is indeed very beautiful. Cecil and Violet move to sit next to Noah. The rest of the dinner proceeds as expected, Cecil and Violet trying to woo Noah, who simply nods and smiles at everything they say, completely unamused. Cecil and Violet take turns to throw daggers my way, as I happily drink and chat the night away. So, Vera, what was that stink eye you were throwing, Violet? A little jealous perhaps? Eli says. You wish, old man. I sip on my wine. Remember I told you that whenever that is around, I can sense it. My ears ring and all. Sure. Well, there was ringing. Caleb and Eli stare at me, turning serious. Don't worry about it, it's very faint, I don't think it'll be a problem, but the thought did cross my mind that maybe Cecil is hiding a few things from us. And you're sure it was coming from her? Caleb asks, almost whispering. I lean close to him, melodramatically. I'm positive. They both lean back on their chairs, deep in thought. I finish my wine and decide it's been enough for me for the night. I have a slight buzz that I'm sure will help me sleep in that horrendous cabin. Oh friends! How are you enjoying your night? William, come sit with us, avoiding all the chatter amongst the guests, which include several of his cousins, nephews, and uncles. It's clear he's also been drinking, perhaps a little heavier than I. William, Caleb nods, I see. What's going on? Well, where to start? Lucas had to volunteer to guard one of the gates because this manor doesn't have enough soldiers, if you can even consider these teenagers that, and you, friend, are a lying piece of shit. Eli says, downing his drink in one gulp. I don't understand. What's going on? William is genuinely taken aback by the accusation. Vera's ears were ringing. Caleb explains in a whisper. It really is enough of an explanation. Wait. We don't know for sure if that means anything, right? I mean, this is my family, they would never. William turns to me, helplessly. I shrug. Sorry, it means exactly what they're implying. I'm sure there's an explanation for this, I'll get to the bottom of this, I swear. What we are saying, William, is that this is already a compromising position we are in, deceiving these families, on top of being at a heavily underprotected location where one of us even has to take up guard shifts and you couldn't warn us about any of it. And now there's magic here? I will advise Noah we leave tomorrow. This council plan, you lazy bastards can't even do your due diligence, Caleb says, standing up abruptly and excusing himself. Your Highness, he bows to Noah before leaving, not waiting to be dismissed. Noah frowns, staring at me looking for any hint of what happened. I shake my head in response, it's not worth getting into right now. The night passes by slowly, Eli and I keep chatting while William sits with us looking sober and guilty. Vera, I hear Noah call me after a while, interrupting my conversation with Eli. I perk up at the sound of his voice. Come sit next to me, he says. I hesitate for a moment, but the hostile look on Cecil's face encourages me to come closer. Boy, is she about to have a rude awakening if she thinks she can intimidate me like this. Your Highness, I bow in front of him before taking the seat he's offering, knowing well the effect it will have on him. Queen Cecil here was wondering how a wolf could help us defeat Alistair. Oh, I could walk you through how I killed him, but I'm sure it would be much too gruesome for your liking. Queen. I smile sweetly at her, shock briefly crossing her expression. Your Highness, I was under the impression that you killed the false king. Violet says. Oh no, I was incapacitated by a witch. Vera took him out. Violet gulps, not daring to look my way as I'm sure she feels my stare burrowing on the side of her face. Which is why, witches are not welcomed in this kingdom. Any trace of any use of magic is punishable by death. I declare. Noah briefly glances my way, but dares not to comment. Of course, this isn't true, otherwise I'd be the first to be put to death, but I smell a rat and this might help flush it out. Violet instantly turns to look at her mother, who is staring at me defiantly. Violet's reaction confirms my suspicion. Something is indeed up with these two. Your Highness, I'm terribly sorry but I am not feeling well all of a sudden, if you'll excuse me. Violet says, curtsying and leaving in a hurry. I watch her run out of the room as I casually take a sip off of Noah's wine glass. He watches amused while Cecil is, without a doubt, planning my murder. The dinner ended soon after Violet left. Eli joined us at the head of the table and excused himself, having offered to take up Lucas's place in the night guard shift so that he can have something to eat. This earned Cecil an angry look from Noah, which was her cue to call it a night. She excused herself to run after her daughter. The problem was, however, that she took Noah with her, offering to see him to his room. He accepted and followed her. I'm assuming he's still mad at me. I sighed and excused myself with the rest of the guests, some of which were too drunk to make it to their rooms, so I have reason to believe they'll sleep in here. As I walk out of the manor, this time without an escort, I take my shoes off and instead of going directly to the cabin, I decide to sit in the garden for a moment. These past months I have also been training with my aunt and grandmother in their realm. We have found out that in my world my magic can be traced, but in their realm it's nearly impossible. I find a patch of grass to sit on and cross my legs as I sit. The temperature is nice, the wind carries a chill with it that hints at how close we are to the mountains. I put my hands on the soil, reveling on the connection I feel to it. During my training, we have figured out that I am innately connected to nature. We don't really know why, as it's quite rare for any type of witch, but to me it makes sense. Everything in nature is living, and that's what I'm connecting to. To me the trees, the plants, the soil are as alive as any of us, and somehow, we manage to communicate. What's even weirder, is that I have been feeling this connection since before they unlocked my magic, since before I had my wolf. Speaking of her, as I'm concentrating and meditating, she comes join me in my mind. Hi, pretty girl. I smile at her as she lays her head on my lap. I gently caress her head as we both take in our surroundings. She does in fact have white, grey eyes, and her fur is just as Caleb described it, iridescent. It's pale white, but it shifts in tone frequently, depending on the angle and the light. Now that I have been able to see her up close, it's almost as if she shines. I feel bad that I haven't been able to let her out in a while. Even if she seems perfectly content within me, she is also a living creature, part of me but an individual in her own right. She deserves to roam freely, often. So far, she hasn't even been able to fully explore her magic since we haven't been able to practice in my world. She perks up, alerting me to something. I pay closer attention to the direction she's looking. She slowly moves her head to a side, as if she's following something or someone. What is it? She turns to me and places her nose to mine, letting me in on what she sees. Beyond the garden, beyond the walls of the manor, she's following a shiny silhouette that seems to be of a woman, right behind the vines. Who is she? I ask her. For now, all I know is that she seems to be interested in this silhouette for some reason. Then, the person disappears and we can no longer track her. I stay seated next to my wolf who turns to look at me. From Sophia, I know I should have a fluent connection to my wolf, understand everything she means without her even talking, but for some reason I can't. There's a lot of interpretation going on every time I see her, but I know nothing for sure. She places her head back on my lap and I caress her for a while longer. Then, her ears perk up again, but this time it's something outside of my mind, something in the real world. Oh! Lucas! Hi! I say, opening my eyes and relaxing my posture. Hi Vera, I thought I smelled you. What are you doing out here? I needed time away from all of this. I gesture at the manor. I think I made a mistake by coming here. I think we all made a mistake by coming here. He comes to sit beside me. I didn't get to thank you for taking my place at the barn, Lucas. It can't be comfortable. You won't be thanking me tomorrow when Eli's snores keep you up all night, he says, taking a bite off of a piece of bread. We stay silent for a while, enjoying the cool air and the garden. Vera, how did you know Noah was your mate? What? How did you know it was him? His question takes me by surprise, but I think back to the day we met. I didn't really know, Lucas. I just knew that when I touched him, something happened. Had it not been for him literally telling me I was his mate, I wouldn't have known. And then what happened? Well, I don't know that I'm the most reliable source, since I hadn't connected to my wolf, but there was electricity when I touched him, maybe not as strong as he felt it, but it was there. And I was just drawn to him, naturally. I wanted to know him, I wanted to follow him. It wanted to be with him. Lucas finishes his piece of bread but stays silent. Why do you ask? I ask, letting my curiosity get the best of me. I was meaning to ask Noah, but he's been so busy lately. Have you? What? No. No, it's not like that. I've just been feeling a little queasy for some reason. It started on our way here, I haven't figured out what it is and it's making me uneasy. Do you think your mate could be close? I don't know, he looks worried. Come on Lucas, you can talk to me. I don't know. Do I even want to find a mate? You saw what happened to Liam. That could happen to any of us. It's a scary thing. Lucas, and what happened to Liam was brutal, but it's so rare. It's unlikely that we'll ever see that happen again. And look at me, I had to leave my home to be with Noah and I have not regret it once. Well, maybe at first, but a white lie can't hurt, right? He sighs. You're probably right. I hope if she is indeed close, that she won't be disappointed that I'm her mate. I put my hand on his and squeeze it gently. Lucas, you're one of the best people I know. You're loyal, caring, and quite a gentleman. Any girl would be lucky to have you as her mate. He smiles faintly at me. Thank you, V. We stay out here a little while longer, until the chill starts to really get really cold. We should go. From what Eli told me, we'll be leaving pretty early tomorrow, we'll need the rest. Lucas extends his hand and offers it to me, helping me up. I take it and we begin walking to the cabin. Once at the door, he says his goodbyes and leaves for the barn. I really hope it's at least warm enough for him to sleep well. I enter my room, a lot more exhausted than I'd thought, and change into my pajamas. Unfortunately, since I'm sharing the cabin with Caleb and Eli, I have to wear pants. I fall asleep promptly, wrapping myself up in the blanket that has probably been laying on this bed for years. It's still cold, but comfortable enough to sleep through. In the middle of the night, something wakes me, the feeling of someone crawling on my bed. Vera, before I can react, Noah's lips are on mine. It's a forceful kiss, a drunk kiss. Noah, Caleb, and Eli are here, I tell him between kisses. They went for a walk, he says. In the cold? I ask, not at all concerned for them right now. He removes my shirt, letting his hands wander freely across me. He's kissing me deep. Save some of that for later, baby. It sounds stupid, but I had almost forgotten how much I loved the sight of it. I hated how short this bed was when I first saw it. Now? Not so much. It's the perfect height. He stops abruptly and his expression changes. You know what? He says, I'm still mad at you for being okay with parading your mate in front of these women, but it's so good. I moan. Maybe I should make him angry more often. If you keep this up, I'll gladly take you to the others myself, I tease. He chuckles. As we come down from our high. I think we should get a shorter bed back home, he says, running a hand through his sweaty hair. I second that motion. He steps away from me, looking for a towel or something to clean up him. It's not that I want to prostitute you out to these women, Noah, it's that the kingdom has no other choice, I say, watching him as he cleans me up. I know, I just took it the wrong way. If a man were to even look at you, let alone flirt with you, I smile. I know. And I understand it's for the good of the people, but the more they demand of me, the less I want to sacrifice for them. The only thing keeping me sane is knowing I get to come to you at the end of the day. The future of this kingdom is not only important to me as a Lycan, but to Wolves' survival. If the peace treaty were broken, if rogues became bold enough to go after wolf territory, or worse, if the council had no other choice but to invade wolf territory to keep the Lycan kingdom alive, I gulp. I had not thought about any of this, not once. So, in reality, as much as I am here to see to the well-being of him and his kind, he's here to see to the well-being of mine. I stand up and kiss him, wrapping my arms around his neck as he gently traces figures on my bare back. "You're the love of my life, Vera," he says, pure emotion in his eyes. "And you are mine." I kiss him again, moving to lay on the bed. We keep kissing each other, reconnecting, for a long while, until exhaustion gets the best of both of us and we inevitably fall asleep, this time, in a much warmer and cozier room. When I wake up again, Noah isn't here. The bed is still warm from our lovemaking and his scent is still very strong, he couldn't have left too long ago. I stretch out my legs and arms, cracking my back and moaning. I can't believe how much I missed this. I also can't believe I made fun of Noah for being in a mood due to the lack of X. If I was on the same boat, I just hadn't realized it. This morning I feel much better. I stay covered in the sheets for a little while, the sun is barely coming up and I take it all in. The faint ache in my body, the scent Noah left on me from our night together, it makes me giddy. "Vera!" Lucas calls from behind the door. I frown. What is he doing here? "Yeah. I think you better come see this." I get up quickly, putting on some clothes, noting the urgency in his voice. I follow him without saying a word, dread pooling in my stomach. We enter the manor hurriedly, before the so-called guards can stop us, walking towards the dining room where the dinner was held last night. I hear voices coming from inside as Lucas opens the door for me. This is the greatest disrespect on this house. On this family. We receive you, feed you, and host you, and this is how you repay us. Cecil is beyond angry, she's livid. To my surprise, her tirade is directed towards Noah. I come closer to them, staying by Caleb's side as Eli is closer to Noah and Cecil. Caleb is off to the side. "What's going on?" I whisper. Apparently, the Queen here is angry that Noah didn't spend the night in his room. She suspects he spent it with you. I turn slightly red. Of course, this is all conjecture because Eli and I made sure nobody was watching, considering how offensive this would all be if it were true. He gives me a knowing look. Then how could she know? I whisper again. "Jeremy!" she yells. Jeremy walks in with his head low. "Yes, my queen." "Jeremy, please tell His Highness what you saw last night." He stares helplessly between Noah and Cecil. "I saw His Highness at the cabin, my queen." "And?" She raises an eyebrow at him. And he entered it with her." He points at me and all eyes turn to me. The room is quite crowded and most of the guests from last night are here too. Out of all the faces, I spot William and his expression is almost apologetic. I'm starting to get really tired of him. "Step closer, whore!" Cecil commands me. This earns her an angry growl from Noah. "I'm sorry, my king, you were not raised like the rest of us, you were raised like a brute. So let me teach you a little lesson on manners. The king does not share a bed with a whore. Mate or not." Eli steps in front of Noah, blocking his path to Cecil as he knows how badly this could end for all of us. "Jeremy was with me during the night shift, guarding the outside of the manor. Tell me how he could have witnessed the king entering the cabin if he was nowhere near it," Eli says. Cecil throws Jeremy a look. They're like crumbling in front of all of us. "I went back for some tools," he says, mumbling. "No, you didn't." Eli clarifies. Cecil, that's enough, William says, stepping forward. William, stay back. You brought these brutes into our home, I should be kicking you out as well. Stop embarrassing yourself and this family. I saw Violet entering the king's bedroom late last night, so we should be the ones asking you to explain yourselves, he says. I'm shocked he would put Cecil on the spot like that. A pregnant silence follows. You could hear a pin drop in the room. All eyes are turned to Violet, who is looking in my general direction with wide eyes. I narrow my eyes at her. Had she actually tried to seduce Noah in his room last night, we wouldn't be having this conversation, I would be ripping her to shreds. But something strikes me as odd in her stare. I move closer to Caleb, making sure it's me she's staring at. For some reason, my heart starts racing, but it's almost as if it wasn't mine. I turn around, looking at where this feeling could be coming from. I turn to Lucas, who is standing behind me. He's looking at Violet, his eyes wide, and I can almost see his heartbeat through his shirt. Oh! Oh no! Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.